Hello again, and welcome back to Dear Laura. If you don't know, I am Laura Nelson from Front Office Rocks, and we are here once again to answer your questions. So at Front Office Rocks, we do training and help with teams and the issues that you have in the practice. And we have been getting a lot of users from this episode, from these calls, from these emails, comments of questions to answer. So I've got a plethora of questions I'm going to go through in the next few episodes. If you're not subscribing already, subscribe, follow, like us, share it, because your question might be in here, or you might have a question similar to the ones that I'm going to answer. So let me just jump into it. So the first question, and those who are watching me see now I have glasses to read, so I'm going to use my old lady glasses. Dear Laura, we need to hire for a couple positions in the practice. Can you share some tips on writing a good job advertisement? So for those who don't know, prior to dentistry, way prior to dentistry, I was a recruiter. So I have quite a bit of experience with recruiting and hiring, writing job descriptions, writing ads, the whole gamut of hiring. In fact, I've written a book called Hiring Without Hesitation. So if you haven't checked that out, my book's available, and we have a course available online if you are hiring. So that's my first suggestion is read the book, buy the course. But the reason I bring it up that way is because the one thing that I have found for most small business owners, and doctors and office managers are not separate from this, is that most people have never been taught how to hire. And that is where the breakdown happens when it comes to running a small business and growing a small business. If we do not know how to hire well, then we end up with team members that are potentially not a long-term fit for our businesses and our practice. So I believe that in order to have a successful business, you do need to learn how to hire well. You need to know how to write a good job advertisement. You need to know how to scan resumes well and quickly. I know hiring right now is tough, and so you've got to move fast on the candidates that come your way because rock stars are not available very long. And then you've got to know how to discern if they're a good candidate or not for your practice, and then onboard them, train them the right way. So it's a very important part of running a small business. So this specific question is, can you share some tips on writing good job ads? Yes. First of all, I want to mention that job ads, advertisement, the word advertisement means to attract. The goal of an ad for Coca-Cola, for your job ad, for any business, when you're putting an advertisement out there, the idea is to attract somebody to buy your product, somebody to apply to your job, whatever the case may be. Most job advertisements that are out there, especially in our industry in dental, are boring. They're just a checklist of requirements that you are wanting someone to have. They list what the benefits are. They list the hours. They would attract a boring blah person, in my opinion. So the very first thing I would suggest is to recognize that a job advertisement needs to be an ad. You want people to apply. You want people to look at it and say, oh, this looks like a great place. I'm going to send my resume, especially because right now the market is so bad when it comes to hiring that there's a ton of jobs available. I mean, I could work down the street at a coffee store for way more than my dental office is paying. There's so many jobs, and most good people are working somewhere else. So we want to make sure that we're recruiting, we're advertising, we're getting that person interested in applying to our job. The next thing is to make sure that your advertisement does not have too many requirements in it, meaning so many times we put in our ads a list of requirements, 2 years of this kind of software experience, 4 years answering phones experience, 3 years as a dental assistant. And many times that rules out potentially good candidates because we put too many requirements in the job ad. What I want to do is just have in there I need somebody with a good personality who can learn well, who doesn't matter that they have 3 years of assisting experience versus 3 months. Not necessarily. I've hired some great people that had very little experience and we trained them. So though it might be a plus, a great thing if somebody has 3 years of experience, I don't want to eliminate somebody who has 3 months of experience. So I want to make sure that the ad is not too restrictive. My idea is to cast the net wide, to get as many candidates as possible to apply to my position. And then I guess the last thing I would say here, again, I've got tons of information on this, but for the short version of the answering this is to really recognize that it's job ads are fine. Like we have to put out there that we're hiring. I recommend having it everywhere possible, having it on your website. But I would also make sure that you are getting the word out. You are networking that you're looking. Your team is sharing that you're looking. That your team is excited about where they work and they're telling people. That's the other thing too, is that if you don't have a team that's excited about working there, how am I going to attract other people to your business? So making sure the team's in the loop, that they're sharing it with people they know in our industry, because birds of a feather stick together. Your hygienist, no other hygienist. Your assistants, no other assistants. Make sure that everybody in your network knows, all your reps in your dental supply company and your insurance broker and your lawyer, that your patients know that you're hiring. And then always be on the lookout, right? Because advertisements are good, right? We want to make sure we have them out there in case somebody's looking for a job. But especially in the market we're in right now, you might not find your next candidate from an ad. And so look elsewhere, always be looking. You know, I just went to get coffee this morning and I would have hired that barista in a heartbeat. She was amazing. She doesn't have to have dental experience. I'll train her on dental. That's what Front Office Rocks is about. So I hope that helps. I would say the biggest thing is really, looking at your advertisement and make sure it's attracting as many candidates as possible and you're casting the net wide net out there. And if anything, have some people read the ad that are not in your office, maybe give it to a friend or family member and say, would you apply for this job? Does this sound interesting to you? And if it doesn't, then rework your ad. And I have lots of examples of that. We could help you out at Front Office Rocks with that. But really realizing what an ad is the first step. It's not a job description. It is an advertisement to attract. So that's my tip on that one. Good luck hiring. I personally love hiring. I know that's not a popular opinion about hiring, but if you get the right attitude about it and you really attract the right candidates, it can really help you build an amazing business down the road. So thank you for that great question. Please follow along for future questions. And on that note, I'll leave you guys to go look at your ads. All right. So I am going to answer the next question that we get at Dear Laura. And my next question is, Dear Laura, I just started in a new office as an office manager. Congratulations. And after observing my first couple of days on the phone skills of the team, they're not where I think they should be. Can you share some insight on what works well and the best way to get my team excited about answering the phones? I will tell you that I believe that the phones are the most important piece of technology in your dental office. Now, there are a lot of dentists who might be listening to this saying, no, it's not. It's my CAD cam. It's my laser. It's my whatever, piece of technology that you have in the back. But if we're not handling the phones well, you're not doing a lot of whatever it is that piece of technology does, right? So the phones are the most important piece of technology in your office. Now, I'm going to add to phones and say also now text messaging and emails and connection. But the idea is this is our lifeline to the outside. This is our how people connect with us, how they schedule with us, how they ask questions to us, how they move their appointments, pay their bills. We have to respect that. We have to respect the phone. And I understand that we get busy and that there's patients in front of us and rooms to turn over and things to happen. But that phone, we pay thousands of dollars to have that phone ring. And so we've got to be excited about and prioritize that piece of technology. Now, how do you get your team on board? The first thing is, and I talked about this in previous episodes, so if you haven't watched or listened to those, go back. We've got to start with why. Why is this important? And I kind of just laid it out for you there, but the team needs to understand that. The doctor needs to understand that. Why is it vital that we give the phone such good attention? Because that is our lifeline to the outside. That is how people, it doesn't matter how much technology we have, we're still going to have people pick up the phone and call us. We are reaching out to patients to schedule appointments, to reappoint them, to pay their bills. And then we aren't excited about answering the phone, right? So, really getting your team to understand the why behind the importance of the phone. Then the next thing I would say when it comes to phone skills and what works well, first of all, training, which is why we started Front Office Rocks in the first place. The phones were my biggest pet peeve when it came to dental offices, that we were not training our team members well on answering the phones. I can't tell you all the tips and tricks in this little, segment, but I can tell you that there's great training out there, Front Office Rocks included, that will teach your team members how to answer the phones well, how to make sure they're smiling on the phones. It's the number one thing I teach is make sure every time you answer the phone, you put a smile on your face, that they're putting attention on the phone, right? In fact, my acronym for teaching the phone is SMILE, which is S, smile, M, make the patient feel important, right? I, put your intention on the phone call, right? One of the things that we are really good at on the front desk is multitasking. But if I'm multitasking when I answer the phone, I'm not giving 100% attention to that person and they can feel it. So put your intention on that phone call. L is listen. We do way too much talking on the phone. We do way too much. And we get in these rote habits. Hi, what's your name? What's your insurance? Can you come in on Thursday? What's your address? And we don't actually have a conversation with the patient, right? Find out why they're calling. Did they just move to the area? Really listen to the patient. And then E of SMILE is offer exceptional customer service. So when our team members get trained and understand the purpose and the why behind it, they can be better at it. Now, I will tell you right now, I'm not a fan of scripts. I don't believe scripts work. There are a lot of companies out there who teach phone scripts, and I'm not a fan of it. And you take it out of dental for a minute. Think about any other place you call. When somebody's reading off of a script, can you not feel that? Like there's no heart in that. There's no intention in that. They don't care. They're just reading off of a piece of paper the next thing they're supposed to say. When I have a script in front of me, my intention or attention is on the script, not on the person on the phone call, right? So I'm not a fan of scripts. However, I am a fan of training and practice. Your team members have to be confident on the phone. They have to know how to answer these questions, and they need to know how to answer it out of their heart, from their heart, right? How they would say it, not the way somebody wrote the script would say it. So really helping your team members practice and train on this and get confident with it matters so much. So my first thing would say, make sure they understand the why it's important. Make sure everybody on the team understands that, because many times we can get pulled away from the phones and we're doing 16 other things. And the whole team should understand when that phone rings, it's a priority. And then the next thing I would say is just make sure your team is trained. They've got to be trained from their verbal skills, the way they would say things, of how to answer these questions so they get confident, because patients are already nervous when they're calling in the office. And that phone call is the first impression of your practice. So you want team members to understand how important that is, and then be confident in how to answer those questions and those issues that come up on the phone call. So again, at Front Office Rocks, that is what we do. So if you need help with that, the training, and I know many times I talk to office managers, like I've told my team members this, I've told them already to give great service on the phone or how to handle these questions. Many times just putting them in front of a video where I tell them in my video in Front Office Rocks, the same thing that you've already told them, it's just clicks a little differently in their head. It's not you telling them what to do. It's me helping them see from their own perspective why this is important. And that's why Front Office Rocks training helps. It supports you as the office manager in helping the team get their own aha to the importance of this phone call and taking care of that patient. So thank you for that question. I'm super glad that you guys have sent these in. We have more episodes coming, more questions coming. If you haven't checked out the first few, please check them out. Subscribe, like, write comments in here and your questions too, and we will put it on the list and answer one of your questions in an upcoming Dear Laura. Thanks for joining.